Okay, Lakefront Hangover, episode 3?
Three
That's
episodes.
right.
We're 3 episodes in.
We're on episode 3 of Lakefront Hangover. And as you can see, Jonas and I are trying to get a little fancy now. We got a microphone, so...
Felt we needed to up our game just a little bit here.
Just a little bit. So we went to Walmart and bought the cheapest thing we
found a
could find.
microphone on sale, right?
That's right. Was it Walmart or a garage sale?
I think we did go to Walmart at least.
All right.
So
well, we're trying to get fancy. A couple of Ozarkian hillbillies trying to get fancy with it. So, all right, let's get into the episode.
Yes,
so
sir.
We've got, and I've got a little cheat sheet. So if you guys see me looking this way, it's because I can't remember.
Yeah, he doesn't have a very good long-term memory. So
that's right. He does the details. I do the cheating.
But he's all the personality, so we let him do all the actual talking and everything.
So let's get into Peggy's buyers.
Yes, sir.
Peggy's got her buyers, and we see that she talks about how he gave her her first loan after she had gotten out of jail. And
Yeah, you saw her get really emotional about that. You know, that really obviously meant a lot to her.
you know, and I want to break that down for a minute. You know, when you look at the banking industry, and full disclosure, our father was in the banking industry before he started selling real estate.
Yep.
I think the quote was he got into the business in 1984, and the doors at the bank slammed behind him.
Yeah, there was a little bit of drama. You know, they weren't real pleased with him, but you know, he had an opportunity to open up the. He enjoyed his the banking business, but he had an opportunity to open up a real estate company and start selling condos for a couple developers here at the lake, and he doesn't regret it one bit.
Thank God.
Yeah,
right?
it's great for us.
Otherwise, we'd be unemployed probably.
Who knows what we would be doing right now?
So anyways, but with lending, it's very interesting because I find this, most banks anymore, they will not loan on character anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and Dad, I remember him saying, you know, he would judge a person when they would come in based upon, you know, the way they talked, the way they interacted, and what he knew about him from the community, and he would base a loan on that information.
He gave a lot of people loans not based on their qualifications financially, but just on what he felt was their true character, and that they would be a man or a woman of their word and would pay them back.
Yeah. It looks like my screen might be going black. Okay, so anyways, so now banking, they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. Back then, Dad was really upset with how rigid they were coming down with all the rules and everything, what you can or can't do on making a loan, and you know, for a number of reasons, but that was one he cited. But he got out in 1984 because he was upset about all the rules. I think he'd lose his mind today if he saw all the rules that they had to go through.
Probably.
So.
I know all the time when we hear the files and underwriting, oh crap, what are they going to come up with now?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, and thank God, you know, due to the financial crash of '08, you know, now it's, you know, you got to verify your income. You have so many different steps to go through.
Yeah, there's no stated income loans anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, that's ridiculous anyway.
Half the time you're sitting there going, how much blood?
Yeah.
How much? So, but it's interesting that he was able to, you know, and I guess that comes with being, you know, an executive or the president of the bank or something like that. You know, you can make those decisions, which as long as you don't sell it to the secondary market, and again, full disclosure, we don't know anything we're talking about when it comes to banking industry because we're not bankers. This is all just our hypothetical thoughts based on, you know, my 17 and your 25 years in the business.
But like you're saying, there are still possibilities for, they call them portfolio loans, in-house loans, where a bank could, you know, maybe, you know, they're not selling it on the secondary market. You know, they could potentially use what they feel is a person's character or something to make a loan to them.
Yes.
You know, and
But
it
they
sounds
have
like that might be a part of what happened with Peggy.
Yeah, and so he was cool enough to give her a loan, trust in her. He liked her character. We're assuming, again, we don't know. So he gave her a loan. And I'm sure he's been very happy with that because she's been kicking butt.
Well, yeah, and the fact that, you know, they've now looks like they're doing multiple transactions together. So they've built a good relationship, and you can see how emotional it made her to know that he was willing to go out on a limb and give her a loan. And, you know, it sounds like you said, he hasn't regretted it one bit.
Yeah, and so he bought a bank down here, and it looks like he already owns a house, and now they're upgrading.
Looking to get a bigger home. Absolutely.
And the Kinderhook house, that's a big house.
Yeah, we've known that house for a long time. You know, it's Old Kinderhook is a wonderful community down here, and that's an iconic home out there in that part of the lake community.
Absolutely, yeah, they did a great job out there developing that. It's a beautiful golf course. We enjoy playing golf
Old
out
Kinderhook's
there.
one of my favorite golf courses to play here at the lake. Absolutely.
Yeah, great time.
And that's a great house. I mean, I know it was interesting that it wasn't a lakefront home, but they were so adamant about how many they needed more bedrooms. And you've got to figure your average lakefront house probably has 3 or 4 bedrooms at the most.
Yeah.
You can get into some of the luxury homes, and they might have a 5th or a 6th bedroom, but they're talking like needed 7 or more bedrooms. So that does kind of limit the number of options you have, especially in a market where the inventory is already low.
Yeah.
So to the fact that she went outside the box again and said, hey, let's go look at this iconic home in Old Kinderhook that's got great views of the lake and gives you access through the marina, that is something that a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that a lot more as we run out of the lakefront land. People are going to have to start saying, I'm going to have to give up the dock for the house that I want and have to enter into a marina or a community dock.
Yeah, you talk about giving up just lakefront land, but just as the values continue to increase.
Yeah.
People on a budget can afford, maybe they can't afford a lakefront home that's big enough for what they need, but they could maybe get a second tier home. A lake access home, kind of like what you and I have.
Yep.
You have a home with a view of the lake. I have a home no view of the lake, but it's a lake access home.
Yeah.
And we have boat slips in a community dock.
Yeah.
And that a lot more people will be doing that.
Yeah, it's become a popular thing. So the Old Kinderhook house, beautiful house. And then I saw 40 Via Pererenz. They looked at that property, which is interesting because if you watch the show, you saw me in that show. Those were really, really close friends of mine that owned that house. And God, what an amazing house.
Oh, it's a gorgeous home. I mean, we obviously, that house really well. Close friends of yours. We've shown it a number of times.
Yeah.
Very impressed with the detail work in that home. Very elegant,
it was incredible.
Gorgeous views of the lake right there on the main channel.
Great, yeah. And so, that gets into no dock.
That was something I pointed out to my wife watching the show last night. We were talking about that and, talking about the views it has and everything. It was like you noticed there was no dock behind that house.
And I remember the clients, which I don't want to say their name on the air because I don't have their permission or anything, but my clients, they said, why would we want to screw up that view? And they had no interest of being on the water. They just wanted to see it, and they had the pool where they could sit and relax. And that's a really rough part of the lake right there. I mean, if you're going to put a dock in there, you're going to have to put a substantial dock in there.
Yeah, and to me, those type of homes like that right there on the main channel, those are perfect homes for people that maybe don't need to go boating every day, but if they still have a boat, Portachima's got a wonderful yacht club with boat slips that you can either buy or lease or something like that, and it'd be one of those where, okay, you got family, friends down, you want to go out, jump in the car, drive over to the marina, and take the boat out. It's a nice protected cove. But if you're going to spend most of your time just looking at the views, swimming in the lake and stuff like that, that's the perfect property for that type of buyer.
To steal a line from the quote-unquote millennials, the Portachima area I would call the bougie area.
They refer to it as being the Beverly Hills of Lake of the Ozarks. It is where you have the largest concentration of high-dollar homes at the lake, in terms of between Portachima and even right next door, the Village of Four Seasons. Not the Village of Four, the villages.
Yeah, the villages,
the Tiny Bend.
Yeah, they got the villages in Portachima, and the toll bridge is going away.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's great. It's going away. You got some beautiful properties over there. Just been over there a number of times the last few months. I've seen a lot of new construction for offshore homes starting over there. And I think you've got builders recognizing that that's going to be a place of potential growth for the full-time off-water market because that toll bridge is going away, so people don't have to worry about paying that.
Do you think that toll bridge was a deterrent?
In the beginning years, it was a deterrent for more of your full-time residents that couldn't afford to be on the water. It was a deterrent because they have to pay $2-3 every time you cross over the bridge. It's a lot of money, especially if you're living here full time, going to grocery stores, going to work, coming back and forth. But now that it's going away, you're seeing a lot more new construction over there.
But if you look And this may come off incorrectly, but if you look at the value of the homes over there, you know, I've got a lot of clients that I've sold homes to over there that I've always said, you know, that toll bridge acts as a security gate, a buffer. You know, there are a lot of people that will not cross over that toll bridge unless they absolutely have to. And the crime rate over there is almost non-existent.
It's a good. I never thought of it that way before, but it makes sense. It is a bit of a you know, security gate and everything, but you know, I still think you've got, you know, you don't have a big crime deal at the Lake of the Ozarks to worry about too much.
No, you don't.
So,
And let's be honest, criminals are going to be criminals no matter what.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is. So yeah, it was a great house. I was really excited to see that last night. I was not happy for my wife to see it because she wants that house. And I told her, honey, you have champagne taste on a Natty Light budget. I can't afford it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Just got to sell a lot more real estate
yeah,
to afford that
substantial.
house. Exactly.
Substantial. So let's talk about Sierra's buyer. Longtime friend, back from high school. And what do you think about that? There's some pressure with that.
There is pressure working with long-term friends. I mean, you and I both done it ourselves, you know, and we've even had in a few cases friends that at first were hesitant to work with us because of not wanting to potentially harm the friendship, you know, and we understand and respect that, but I've always said that, hey, if you believe in my professionalism and the service I provide, that's not going to hurt our friendship, you know. But there is a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, and at the same time, I find that when you work with your friends, sometimes your professionalism lowers a little bit, and some things get misconstrued. You know, you're not on top of explaining everything, you know, such as buyer's agency agreements and listing contracts and everything. So, you know, a lot of it, you can literally get lax and somebody can get upset. So
that you're absolutely right, and that's where it's even more paramount for the realtor involved to understand, it's like, hey, put that work hat on. You're my friend, and there are some lines that we can cross in terms of how you communicate with them and everything, but you still have to be professional. You still have to make sure you go through all your checks and balances and make sure that they understand everything that they're signing and the fact that they're compensating you for the work that you're providing.
That's right. So they went over to North Shore. North Shore, and Sierra had pointed out that there was a lot of older homes over there. Not older like old decrepit, just they've been around a long time. A lot of them, you know, they come with, what do you call it, the reverse ranch?
I call it, you know, you can call it reverse ranch. I call it the more traditional home, the Lake of the Ozarks, where you've got all your bedrooms up and your living space down, you know.
And see, I've always told everybody, you know, curb appeal at the lake is completely different than urban areas.
Absolutely.
You know, the curb appeal is on the lake side, not the road side.
Traditionally.
But, you know, all of our lots for Lakefront, they always have a walkout lower level. And I always tell everybody, if you're in a city, you know, when you walk into the house, you usually have your main living area and all the bedrooms go upstairs. Well, they just brought those same houses and dropped them at the lake. They just changed the front door from the main level to the top floor.
Yeah, and also you do think about it, you build a lot of those homes. If you're living in a lakefront home, you're going to spend a lot of time going back and forth to the lake, to the dock and everything. If you do it in a more traditional sense where all the living's up off the main level above grade, well, that's another flight of steps you got to climb up to get up to it. So you put your kitchen, living area, maybe even your primary suite on the lower level in the walkout basement. That eliminates a flight of steps that you have to go to get from the water up to that area. So
yeah, that's a great point, because you don't want to be going and refilling the chips and the dip and refilling the, you know, the beers and everything by having to walk in.
Nobody likes climbing more steps that you need, especially when it's late in the afternoon. You've been out on the dock all day. You're kind of tired from the sun and everything. It's like, oh boy, got to walk up another flight of steps to get to that kitchen.
That's right. So short time frame, they were able to execute a deal with him. What did they have, like 30 days?
Yeah, they said they had like 45 days to locate the home, get it under contract, get it closed so she could start moving in. And, you know, that is I mean, you know, Sierra had mentioned that could be, you know, contracts can be closed in 30 days. It can be done with financing involved. I always get nervous about that because everything's got to happen bam, bam, bam without any trouble or anything like that. And that can be tricky on a 30-day timeline to try and get under contract and close, but it can be done.
You're right.
You know?
It can be. We also saw Gerardo.
Yeah, you know, I was excited for everyone to meet Gerardo. You know, it's one of the other realtors on the show. Him and then Amanda's coming up later in the season. You know, we've met Gerardo once, I think.
We met him at the photo shoot after this was all done.
Yeah, which I gotta say, Gerardo, he seems like a pretty cool cat. We need to get to know him a little bit better, but He's looked like a good guy. He's got an interesting backstory. I'm excited for everyone to learn more about that backstory as the season goes along.
Yeah.
And touched a little bit about the challenges for realtors outside of the community to try to break into the market here and sell property at the lake.
And let's talk about that for a minute. So,
Sure.
you and I have a Missouri real estate license.
Yes.
And so that entitles us to sell real estate all over the state of Missouri.
Anywhere in the state of Missouri, legally, we could go sell real estate. Yes. Whether it's St. Louis, Kansas City, Joplin, Cape Girardeau, legally we can do it.
Should you do that?
Ethically, I don't believe in that. I believe I believe in staying in the market that you're versed in, that you're used to.
Well, isn't that part of the code of ethics within AR?
Yeah.
You have to only practice real estate in an area that you're proficient in.
Yeah, and that goes for the area, the market that you're used to, whether it's Lake of the Ozarks, Jefferson City, or wherever, and for the type of market that you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about most realtors are residential realtors selling residential real estate. But there is commercial real estate out there. There's even, land, acreage, stuff like that. And it's not good as a realtor to cross those boundaries into other markets without having knowledge in it.
Now, we see a lot of practitioners, though, that are very good at working multiple areas, correct?
There are a few out there that can do it.
Yeah.
It's challenging. You've got to be really on top of things. It can be done, but it's very, very challenging.
Yeah. And we're not saying anything about Girardeau in any way, shape, or form. We're simply talking about the premise of working multiple areas. Now, I've seen a lot of Columbia and Jefferson City agents that come down to the Lake of the Ozarks. Essentially, there's a lot of things that are very similar, and there's a few caveats that are different, such as dealing with Ameren. Plus, we also have 2 out of 3 of our counties that are, all 3 of our counties are non-disclosure, so no sale price gets disclosed. And 2 of the counties don't even have planning and zoning.
Correct. Yeah.
So there are some caveats and differences, but we've seen a lot of agents that have done a phenomenal job, and I anticipate that Girardeau, with his drive, and I know he's educated himself, and so I don't think he's going to have an issue.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jeff City's not that far from the Lake of the Ozarks, so if he, he's obviously intelligent, hard worker and everything, I think that he can make that transition. I'm still not a fan of people that, agents trying to, work in multiple markets and stuff, but there are those out there that try to do it.
Yeah.
So.
And if you can do it and you can stay on top of it, right on.
Mm-hmm.
Us, we're just a couple of lake hillbillies, and all we stick to is the Lake of the Ozarks. I remember my father-in-law asking me to help him buy a house in Jefferson City, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Jeff.
Yeah, Jefferson City's like a 40-minute drive from here.
Yeah, he was like, oh, we can figure it out. And I said, no, I'll refer you to a friend of mine, but I'm not touching Jeff.
Yeah, I was contacted yesterday by somebody I'd spoken to a while back, said that he was looking to take a job in Lebanon, and he liked our interaction to each other and wanted me to help him find a place to live down in Lebanon. And I said, I don't know that market. I mean, I can get there in 30 minutes, but I don't know anything about Lebanon. I would be doing you a disservice trying to simply pull up the MLS and show you homes. So I referred him to somebody that I knew that worked the Lebanon market, was well versed in it. Good job. And I knew would take good care of him.
Good job. Mm-hmm. That's putting the client before the commission.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Girardeau, and I wanted to touch base. He was at Cobb's Chimney Point. He and Peggy both, and that was a beautiful house.
Oh, I love that house. Absolutely.
Another house, no dock in front, and there's a few places like that down here. I know the Treetops is another one off of Horseshoe Bend where you can't have a dock in front of the house. And I think there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, but even at Chimney Point, if you notice, you look out there, they do have a location where they have a community dock system with a big breakwater out in front of that. So that's a location where if you don't have to have a private dock, if you're willing to share a dock with somebody else and just keep your boat there, but you want that great view that you can get from there, that's a perfect little opportunity for you.
Absolutely. So we need to wrap this up because I'm sure half the viewers have already turned this off. We get long-winded. I apologize.
Yeah, lots to say.
We've only been interacting like this for almost 42 years now, and we still always just ramble on. So, kind of exciting for you and I. And of course, we know it's all about me.
Absolutely. Always, it's all about him.
We got a preview of the next episode.
Next episode's going to be fun.
Charles.
I'm super excited for everybody to meet Charles.
So they did let the cat out of the bag that Charles was looking for a swingers nudists.
Call it an adult-only compound.
Yes.
Very interesting. Justin and I, when we were filming this, constantly would look at each other like, are we sure we're doing this for HGTV?
Yeah.
I mean, this didn't seem like something that would be on HGTV, and I think it's going to be. So I think everyone's going to be caught so surprised and have a lot of fun with next week's episode, just because it's. I don't know that I haven't seen all of their shows, but I'm sure there hasn't been anything similar to this.
I honestly can't believe that HGTV was like, yeah, let's go with Charles.
Yeah, I know. They were excited about it. They're loving it.
And no, he's a blast.
Charles is great.
How long has he been a client of ours?
We've been working with Charles for a few years now, actually.
Yeah, and he already has a couple of places here.
He's got a home here at the lake already.
He's got a home at the lake, and then you're going to have to watch the episode to see what happens. We don't want to ruin it. I can tell you that Charles was probably the most fun, and I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody else. I think I had a 6-pack by the time I was done laughing with Charles.
Charles is great. He's a great character. I loved working with him and filming this episode with him, and I'm excited to see what everyone has to think about it.
Yeah, and he is just down to earth, just good old guy.
Great guy. Absolutely.
All right, let's wrap it up. Lakefront Hangover, episode 3. If you want us to elaborate or talk about more, or you want to hear more about the real estate market, or you want to hear more about the show, whatever you want to hear about, hit us up in the comments. We're posting it on our office Facebook page. We're posting it, obviously, on our Facebook pages. If there's something you want us to see, hit us up with it. Hit us in the comments. If there's something you want us to quit talking about, do that. If you're going to be a rude jerk and just talk crap on us, go away. Nobody's got time for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But other than that, we're good.
All right, buddy.
See ya.
Go Chiefs.